Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again. Once again, as always, hey, it's Wednesday, man. What does that mean? It is time for the Wrestling News Weekly, where me, Nick McDaniel, and my partner, Myron.
Yes, Myron. I am now going by Myron, the producer. I didn't produce this show. Hell, I only did audio one time on a wrestling show. I'm going to talk about my great debut as the sound guy at a wrestling show. I made very little mistakes. They were at a big time. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm talking about Saturday night. Nick came out and was able to see the show too, see the end of the show. Southern Fried Championship Wrestling, in their big return to Monroe after being up in Cornelia, drew a house of 330 people and put on one of the most impressive wrestling shows I've seen in a while. It was great. They needed somebody to do the sound. I did the sound. Worked with Adam on that. Really had an awesome time. It was an awesome experience doing that. I hope that sometimes they need anybody in the future, they'll ask me. But Southern Fried is hot right now. People have really came out for Charles. Charles has announced that he is ill, and he's announced who's going to be taking over Southern Fried if anything happens. But he has announced some of the biggest shows ever. On April 7th, they're coming back to Monroe, where they did good last time, and they're bringing in Nikita Koloff for a meet and greet. The Nikita Koloff on April 7th, Monroe, Georgia. On top of a card that's stacked, hugely stacked. Camilla Kane's going to be on the show, one of my all-time favorites. 770-601-3676 for tickets. Also, a huge announcement was made at the show that Aria Blake was injured and would not be able to make the women's show that is booked for June 1st. They have replaced her with none other than Sue Young.
Good call.
The Undead Bride, Sue Young. Massive
Hey,
talent.
I'm going to sidebar you here because you said something I didn't know you were going to talk. I didn't know you were going to mention the name. I'm going to ask you. Friend of the show, Camilla Kane, posted on Facebook the other day she's no longer taking bookings after WrestleMania weekend. Have a question for you. WrestleMania is what day? April 8th.
Yeah.
Her last show could very well be April 7th at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling.
I'm doing math.
If she's not taking shows after that weekend.
Yeah. Seriously, people, if you want to see Camilla Kane at what could very well be her last independent booking, April 7th in Monroe.
We won't even get into the conspiracy theories of where the hell she's going after it.
She also announced that she is no longer making T-shirts.
Yeah.
And all the T-shirts she has, she's got to sell out of because there's not going to be any more Camilla Kane T-shirts made.
And guys, if you don't have a Camilla Kane shirt, go to her Facebook page and hunt the page down, Camilla Kane, and trust me, get the shirt.
Sadly, I only have a Camilla Kane autograph picture, which I think is amazing.
Absolutely, we have said for years that she was going to be a talent, right? You could see it in her.
I knew she was going to be a talent. She became a talent a lot quicker than a big name, a lot quicker than I was thinking, man. I thought maybe she'd last a little bit longer, but no, she has gone right up the top, and it's deserved.
I agree with you, man.
Look at her.
Yeah. So if you want to see a star in the making, Camilla Kane, what'd you say, April 7th, Monroe, Georgia, and on top.
No, it's in Loganville.
That was in Loganville?
That was going to be in Loganville.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Great venue. Great venue for them. It's all out there, man. That's a great show. I can't wait for it. I've asked off work so I can get to there, really take vacations for wrestling, but this one I could not turn down.
And then you can, like you said, you can get out to a Southern Fried show. I mean, this is it, where the names Charles is pulling in, and then of course you're going to pull in somebody like Nikita Koloff, who legendary feuds with, all through NWA, including the first person we're going to talk about today. The man himself. The Nature Boy Ric Flair. We wanted to start off, we couldn't resist talking about the Ric Flair drip. Offset and Metro Boomin's new, their song. The video was released March 1st. And
I don't know what dripping though. I didn't see it.
If you haven't seen it, it is. It's cool. That's my kind of speed than yours when it comes to music. I'll be bluntly honest with you. But hey, we might throw a track in there just for a minute or something, just to let people hear it, right?
Yeah.
But anywho, I mean, Ric Flair's full on in the video, like the whole thing. He's in there, styling and profiling, even cutting a promo around the 2.5 minute mark. He cuts a little promo. It is awesome. But the reason I even wanted to address all that was clearly the street cred that the Nature Boy has.
Yes.
That hip hop artist, Snoop Dogg talking about Ric Flair back in the day, and
yes.
Even these guys today, putting all these out. You see all the athletes, in the locker rooms doing the, give me a Ric Flair, on a 1, 2, 3, and they all like Ric Flair. I mean, come on, man. It's all the stuff they're doing, man. We talked about this a little bit off air, and I'm going to ask you now, and I'm going to set the question up for you.
Fire it away.
Everybody always said that Hulk Hogan was the bigger star, pop culture star over Ric Flair. Ric Flair's the greatest wrestler. Hulk Hogan's the most famous wrestler. My question was that I asked you, asked this is, it's not so much Ric Flair was not as big a star as Hulk Hogan, but is Ric Flair's star outshining Hulk Hogan's?
Well, the thing about Ric Flair is he never put on this super perfect, this I'm Mr. Clean image that Hogan had, where he was so big over with kids. Ric Flair was a grown man's wrestler. Ric Flair was a guy who made people want to be him. He was the pop man. He had it down. Hogan could sell a lot of vitamins and ice cream bars and things like that, and Hogan was huge. Nobody was as big at one time, in my opinion, than Hogan. That's been 30 years ago. Ric Flair is still over. Still over. Ric Flair's made a much larger impact long term on popular culture, in my opinion. You ask people about Ric Flair, everybody will go, woo! But, they know that automatically.
You don't even have to be a wrestling fan to know what that means.
Yeah. Anybody will do it. So it's kind of, it's got to the point, I think that's more impactful than Hulkamania and the other Hulk stuff. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, no, and that's why I wanted to ask you about it. I was just kind of like, the curiosity of for obvious reasons, Hulk Hogan's not going to be in any rap videos anytime soon.
No,
but we're not going to go there. But it was just cool to see Ric Flair strutting in suits, and then there's one where he's in his robe, and the whole thing. I mean, it's just, you got to see this. And when we're done recording this, man, just go to YouTube, Ric Flair drip, and watch it.
I think the biggest thing about him is, we saw Ric Flair almost die just a short time ago, and you saw the way the world almost stopped around that. I'm not sure that would happen if Hogan was on his deathbed. I don't think there'd be that kind of appeal that Ric Flair had. Ric Flair's eternal.
Let me ask you this, and if anybody, you guys that are listening to the episode, agree or disagree, email us at tappedoutpod@gmail.com, DM us at tappedoutpod on Twitter, Facebook, you can send us a message, all inboxes, all that good stuff, because I'm going to ask, because I actually wonder this. Could it truthfully be because a lot of people in hindsight look back and go, Hulk Hogan pretended to be something he wasn't? Ric Flair never once shied away from chasing women, all the partying, all the drinking.
Ric Flair.
So that's my thing, is did Ric Flair just get accepted because he was, I'm the greatest and this is who I am, and Hulk Hogan was, I'm the best, but this not may necessarily be who I really am.
No, Ric Flair, Richard Fliehr died. Ric Flair took over. He was bigger. He was bigger than his own person. It's Terry Bollea is different than Hulk Hogan. Ric Flair is Ric Flair. That's all I can say about that. That's the only thing I can say is that's him 100%.
Could be. That's just maybe as they say, maybe Ric Flair was all about keeping it real and Hogan wasn't.
No, he kept it real. He kept it real to the point it almost killed him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big deal.
Maybe that's why he's got all the street cred, but, he's the greatest, and I think he's going to.
That, and he was an amazing worker.
Well, there was that. I mean, there was on top of that. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the show. I just wanted to kind of kick the show off with that because I had seen it earlier in the week, and I knew you probably, it's not your cup of tea, so I know you probably didn't watch it.
I saw him rapping around. I mean, nothing against rap music. I listen to it sometimes. I was pulling in the Kroger parking lot, listening to some Dre the other day to embarrass my daughter. She didn't. She didn't know about it. You want to listen to some real rap? Here, let me show you some real rap. Back in my day, in my day, you see.
Well, speaking of the new way, let's jump in, man. You brought it up to my attention too, man. This All In with Cody and the Bullet Club sponsor. They want to put this 10,000 seat arena show together. It's sometime in September, if my memory serves me correct. We've talked about
September
it a couple.
1st.
Yep. They've made the announcement, man. Where's the building at again?
It is the Sears Center in Chicago, which is the perfect place for wrestling because it's a very easy place for everyone in the country to get to. It's a very centralized the closest you're going to get to centralized location with any form of population there. Well, it's easy to get there. It's a big venue. What else you going to ask for?
Well, it holds what you said, about 12,000, give or take. But I mean,
right at 12,000. Yeah.
If they rope it, curtain it off for a ramp, etc., it'll, they'll be right at 10, I guess. Where they want to be, give or take. And you were talking about it's centralized in the United States. The great thing about Chicago, it's also got an international airport.
Yep.
So if somebody's wanting to come in from the UK or Japan, who knows, wherever these people, God, everywhere they come in, they can come in and see the show. It's easy access. It's kind of why I think that's one of the big things with even the WrestleManias. They always wanted in cities that they can, they've got these
attraction cities, yes.
Yeah, where you can get in and out of pretty easy. It's not like a big ordeal to fly in from around the world. And I'm going to give credit to I'm going to credit something I was listening to MLW show, and MSL brought up a great point. This thing can go either way, in my opinion. Looking ahead at it,
it could.
It could be a bust. They could sell 5,000 tickets and be a complete disappointment for what they wanted, or, and this was his point, and I think I agree here wholeheartedly. If you think about it, does this become the fan of the super indie, the non WWE rebel, that this becomes their Woodstock? That they're going to say
this is their chance to really show. It's their chance to show their influence versus the WWE main roster. It's a big deal. And I only see one thing against Chicago. Chicago has one downside. What do you think?
I've got a couple, but I'll let you go ahead and answer it because,
CM Punk chance.
Well, there is that, true, yeah.
But, if they're able to use that to pop a bigger crowd, well, people might come just thinking they're going to see CM Punk. Who cares?
Book him as an appearance, not a match, just an appearance maybe, or something like that. So, but
it'd be huge. But they also have a podcast convention. I haven't got my tickets from that yet. I don't know if you've got I don't know. What day are we going on?
What day are we going on the show?
Yeah, on the podcast. When is our recording day?
Well, we're recording now, and we're going to go.
No, I mean when we're in Chicago.
Oh, if we do it, we'd still be a Wednesday. We'll always do a.
Okay, cool.
So
we write that down. But they're also talking about having something like a fan fest there. There's going to be legends. There's going to be weigh-ins. It's going to be a presentation where you go to Chicago, you get there, you do the show, you enjoy the show, and then you go to the wrestling match. I think that's priceless, man. You know how much you draw on a 10,000 seat arena?
They got you got to fill 10,000.
Well, even if they do the tickets cheap, it's very it's bound to sell out.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to ask you. Here we are, we're running long as always, right? But I got a sidebar and ask. Part of the question is that why they did this arena and not because you've got the other ones downtown. This is all kind of in a suburb of Chicago.
Uh-huh.
But you got Rosemont, Horizon, and all that stuff that WWE runs in Chicago, Allstate Arena and all that, whatever. And so do they do this because do they get a deal on the building?
They probably got a deal on the building, and also it's the right size. If You can kayfabe 10,000 seats in a 12,000 seat arena a lot easier than you can kayfabe 10,000 seats in a 20,000 seat arena.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if they have to pay for some stuff and then like fake a little bit about it, it'll be a lot easier in an arena that size. So, but I think it's perfect.
Yeah, and I hope they fill it. But like I said, for it to happen, I agree. I think it's got to be total anti-establishment WWE. You know, wrestling. You know, diehard pro wrestling guerrilla, Ring of Honor. You know, Progress all over the world. All of those people kind of.
This summer is going to be a huge promotion for this.
Yeah, and we think we've said it before. We honestly think that there'll be some kind of a payoff somehow, some way, probably with Omega and Cody in that building. I mean, I know that's a long way away to think about it. Can they go 6 months?
Oh yeah, yeah. They can go.
So
they can build this show. They've got plenty of time to build this show. They've got plenty of time to finish out the roster. I heard Flip Gordon's not signed. Flip Gordon is huge. Flip Gordon might be one of those people that say, "Oh, we had him on the podcast, so we had him on Tapped Out," and he turns out to be the biggest name we've ever had in the future. I mean, he could be the next guy. Stephen Amell's going to be there on the show.
Well, yeah, he's buddies with Cody, so
there.
He's buddies with Cody, so we
they have the people to draw.
Yeah.
They have the talent, and they're just going to book more talent.
Yeah. But anyway, man, let's speaking of all this non-WWE talk, let's jump straight into. Believe it or not, man, dude, there's a few Impact notes, and here's a big one. Of course, we want to talk about. We've discussed this once back when it first happened. Obviously, it was taped, but it finally aired, so it's kind of hit the masses, the TMZs of the world. Sami Callihan and the Eddie Edwards bad incident, where basically Sami set the chair, and I think this is where a lot of people are kind of getting, because everybody's like, oh, how do you fake hitting somebody in the face? He's sloppy. But okay, he wasn't trying to hit him in the face. He put the chair on him. I think he was supposed to hit the chair, knock the chair into him, but the bat basically just ricocheted right off of the chair because it was leaning and tilting because it wasn't stabilized. And it just kind of deflected right off and caught him in the eye. Okay, well, for one, so the question now to ask you real quick here is, did you see it?
I have not seen it.
Okay,
I have read 1,000 things on it, but
that's the reason.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, no, there's a reason I want to know is a lot of people are saying it was sloppy, it was unsafe, or whatever.
Yes.
My thing was it sloppy? It was executed sloppy because the chair wasn't stabilized yet before he swung the chair and it deflected off. Obviously, was it unsafe? We've seen crazier moves. I'm not going to lie to you. So could he have been more careful? Probably. But who am I to say that, right? I've never, swung a baseball bat.
I heard Shane Helms say that his friend Sami Callihan is a great wrestler, but a horrible baseball player.
Well, apparently Jim Cornette and Cassius Ohno both took offense to it too, and basically said he should be embarrassed, and he blah 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 blah. And of course, Sami Callihan hence has been on. I mean, even Eddie Edwards was on TMZ.
Twitter war.
Well, Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan were on TMZ, and Eddie Edwards just kind of was like, stuff happens. It is, whatever.
Well, they primed this so they could get it on TMZ to draw the people to watch it. Okay,
right.
That's how this works.
Yeah.
They worked us. They got the show. They got it. Because, it happened a while back.
Oh yeah, the taping has been much
so.
Bad, yeah.
They knew this was coming. They got it to TMZ to get hype, and then when they broadcast the show, it was already super over.
Right.
They got TMZ to pop it. It's brilliant. Great job marketing this, guys. As I've said, they get better every week. You get better work out of Impact. I keep trying to say TNA. Jesus, I can't get over that. But yeah, they keep figuring out how to make this work better. And they're working more around. They get this super good publicity. It's not all about. It doesn't have to be about all the wrestling all the time. Right now, they're marketing themselves like geniuses. So it's good for business. They've got this down. They've getting people to watch. They did the same thing with the whole barbed wire bait. What was that match they had a while back? The barbed wire or something match.
That was
where they basically got people to watch it. They built their own hype and got people to watch it. It's great work, man. Brilliant.
Well, I mean, you want me to? I mean, just it's crazy. I'm going to tell you because I did not have the viewership for it, in front of me, so I pulled it up obviously really quick. How about this week's episode, the baseball bat incident?
Mm-hmm.
365,000 people watched, up from 262,000 the week before.
Up by 100,000 people.
Over 100,000 people watched it.
Yeah, these guys they brought in know what they're doing. They're convincing us to watch the stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't a coincidence that this happened on that show. And that's what they did so well on it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, overall, it sucks that Eddie Edwards took the shot to the face.
Yeah, I mean that sucks. Yeah. I mean, how could you defend that in the fact that he took a shot to the face? It's bad, but he basically jobbed for the company. I mean that sounds shitty to say, but. He broke his orbital bone in his cheek,
his nose,
and his face.
Yeah,
to build a massive controversy and a massive storyline. Yeah. He did something they did back in the day. It's very, to me, that's very admirable of him.
Well, I don't think he meant to take that. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, but he's being a trooper.
He handled it like a trooper.
But you were talking about storyline, so I do want to take. I read an article today. Yesterday. Today I'll blur together at this point. Jimmy Jacobs said that Impact actually, he believes they're, because on one hand we had this incident we've known about for weeks because it was taped, but Jimmy Jacobs defending that and then actually saying he believes that they have an advantage over the WWE taping a mass like this because they can plan long term because they write their shows long term.
Yeah,
and it's succinct and they've got quality control all in the building. They record that whole shot of shows and they're done. Whereas WWE is week after week after week. They got those 6-day gaps in between recording shows, and they're the kings of plot holes or like just dropping stuff like it didn't happen.
How can you not agree with what he said? I mean, he's got a great point. He basically said that we can do better because we tape our shows directly and can be more consistently in charge of storyline. There's no way to argue with that. As someone who's watched WWE the majority of his life, there really is no way to argue with that. They dropped the ball. Yeah. It happens.
Well, let's go into, I agree with you. I don't mean to run on that story. I wanted to ask your opinion on it when I saw that because I was like, he's right. I mean, if you can do everything, if we can record 3 months, it's like TV shows.
Yeah.
They record just seasons, in chunks and trying to knock it out. And then but because it's all like the stories can sync because you're doing it back to back to back to back to back, versus, hey, anyway.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a question. Why am I putting over TNA so heavily? I don't get it. I mean, I'm loving it. Have you seen any of this stuff? To me, I just can't stop talking about it.
They're doing some good stuff, and I mean, we always tell you week in and week out. You don't just take out. We give you we open the window a little bit, cover a couple little tidbits of the Impact stuff. If you want the chunk of the information, the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast that Lewis does, week in and week out, he's breaking down Impact on Pop, all the notes stuff. He's obsessed now. He's watching the Twitch shows that they're putting on because they're into that now. They're doing shows on Twitch, and then they're, just over and over, all the stuff they got going on. And by the way, interviewing guys left and right, showing up on the show. I mean,
could you be more amazed with the guys he's getting?
Yeah. So, I mean, even, we talked about, this earlier this week, RJ City, does a hilarious show on Facebook Live. RJ City makes his coffee in his underwear. Lewis, had him on, interviewed him last week. You can go in the archives and check that one out. And then got so just entranced in this thing. He was like, can I cut a review show of it? Just, and of all weeks he does it, Allie and Braxton, Sutter are on there with him because all the night before they had worked an Impact show. Mm-hmm. So he watches that and does a review of it, and then, great feedback from those guys as well, by the way. I mean, between Ring of Honor and Impact right now, Lewis is just starting to pull the name. So you got to check out the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast here on the network.
I'm in this unique position that I am working with some of the most dedicated and amazing people in podcasting right now with you and Lewis, and I could not be happier about where I am. It's awesome.
Well, we're glad you're happy. That's what we hope to do, right?
Yep.
Well, speaking of making people happy, man, let's roll in as the time rolls on. Rumors of Alberto Del Rio maybe packing Impact and heading out. We know he does have he's going to be wrestling for the belt towards the end of April, which is when his contract comes up. But he was in Stanford with WWE. He was actually there to record some stuff for the Rey Mysterio DVD. But apparently while he was there, rumors are that he was talking a little bit to the man himself. And Vince is keen on bringing back Alberto Del Rio.
Why?
Well, the guy can work.
He can work.
He is big, and he's a big draw. Especially, remember, Vince is kind of globalizing. He's trying to think. He needs he wants a Japanese star. He wants he wants a Mexican star. He wants and Del Rio can be that Mexican draw.
I wish to me. This is just me. I wish there was somebody else, because it just does not seem like Del Rio is the guy. And everybody's like, oh, well, he's not with Paige anymore, so he'll be better. Well, you got to remember, Paige is on the roster right now. She's not working, but she's working shows.
Put him on Smackdown. It won't matter.
They've tried separating them before. Didn't work out very well.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think that he, for lack of a better way to put it, is a cancer. And I think he is bad for a promotion. He may have got his head straight, and I hope he has. And I hope he won't be this way. But everything in me is telling me that he's not the guy they want.
Well,
just my take.
Let's go on. The guy I think they really want was Rey Mysterio Jr.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, Friday night in Connecticut, in a match with Flip Gordon, the previously talked about in our archives, they were tag teaming against Joey Mercury and Caleb Conley. How about that for a freaking indie show?
Yeah, that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, nice match. Kudos to the promoter. I mean, I'm a fan of all of them. We've seen, Conley in person, and he's super talented.
Yeah, he's great. He's phenomenal.
He's Blake Shelton, but he's talented.
He's an incredible Blake Shelton.
Yeah, he's a more athletic Blake Shelton. But
I've never seen Blake Shelton wrestle though.
Well, that is true. I would love to see that.
If I could see Blake Shelton wrestle, I think I could do a much better
comparison
critique on it. Yeah.
Matter yet, I would love to see Blake Shelton wrestle Caleb Conley, because I haven't seen them in the same room at the same time.
Well, how can you tell them apart?
Well, the only reason I say we know they're not the same person is Blake Shelton is freaking tall. Like, really, really tall. And Caleb Conley...
Well, that's the only piece of evidence you have for me, Nick.
That's it. Otherwise, but I want to see... So, yes, I want to see Caleb Conley versus Blake Shelton, and a winner takes the character. Anyway. So
very reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable. But back to our point, the rumor was that apparently that Rey Mysterio Jr. could potentially have torn his left bicep. And as of us recording, I know Rey was supposedly going yesterday. Monday. And nothing had come out about what he had found out. So hoping to see, because they were wanting him back. WWE's wanting him back in. Even a potential fallback to a match that we'll talk about later, that if it didn't happen, that he could have been a Mania. I mean, how do you feel about potentially blowing that kind of deal?
That's tough. That is extremely tough, because, Rey is a great talent. But a Mania match, losing that at this time, it's not like you'd lose the match when you were 25. You'd be losing a match at his age, and that might be the last match you get. The last chance you get at it. That's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see that happen.
It's got to be devastating. I don't mean just a WrestleMania payday, but just if they were literally, it was a limited date deal potentially to come back home and maybe finish up your career with the WWE and then kind of go out, you know, and I'm like, man, to lose it with that's hard to swallow, but, you know, stuff happens, right?
It's wrestling, man, and guys get hurt. You know, it's not ballet, to quote Jim Cornette. Yeah. It's not ballet.
Well, other things happen in wrestling too, man, and that's where we're going to go next. I mean, this was the craziest thing. And by the way, you're going to notice that at the very bottom of my whole notes of this section it's in quotations. It said probably a work, because that's what I always say, right?
It's a lot of words.
Yeah. On Twitter, a fan, Fabian Hagen, I'm giving the name out, asked Jericho if he was done with New Japan, because we haven't seen him or heard from him in New Japan Pro Wrestling in a while. And he actually did respond, and he said, unfortunately, yes. So, you know, things that kind of factor into this was, apparently, you know, I know he was on Busted Open Radio in an interview, and he said that, he wanted a Brock Lesnar deal, basically, where he could come in a couple times a year, make it a big deal. He could fight a big, draw, have a big name fight or whatever, and then just kind of go away, because when he came in, he wanted everybody to know it was special, because he doesn't come in all the time. So my guess is maybe that couldn't have been worked out. And so maybe the NATO stuff is just gone.
Two ways. Let's look at this two ways. Jericho coming in and being something special. That's reasonable. That's what he wanted to do. It might have not been the way they wanted to book. And two, it's a lot easier to say, I really can't take this job. If you ask for something, there's no way they can give you. It's a lot easier to turn that down, because you're never going to get offered it. He may have asked for something they couldn't give on purpose, just so he wouldn't have to look bad.
True.
Or it'd make more sense. It'd make more sense. Like, look, I can't do this. I only want this, this, and this. And if they can't deliver it, nobody looks like an asshole. It's just the way it is. So I could buy that. I could buy that 100%.
Right, because we were talking off air, and you had said, well, maybe he should come in more often. And my comeback was he could do that at the WWE and probably make a lot more money.
Yeah.
And guess what? He would also get to be in these states most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. Chris is at a point where Chris is so super over, and Chris, even at his age, is doing more in wrestling than most people will ever do. So nothing's going to work out bad for him right now. I cannot see anything he's doing being bad. He's got it made, man, and he will be remembered as one of the all-time greatest performers. So, and he'll be somewhere. Yeah. He'll wrestle again. That's no doubt about that. Well, and personally, just out of my just for me to be selfish, I want to see him back on the WWE. Do his concert, come back, but work WWE. Work what I know you do. It's so familiar to see him back in the ring. So.
But you got to admit, it was refreshing to see him in somebody, facing somebody else that he hasn't faced 100.
Yeah, it was a good new thing, and new things are cool, but I really want him back where he's home for me. I know that's, like I said, that sounds selfish, but Chris Jericho being back on a WWE show is just good for me. It makes me feel good. I like it. Well,
for now, he can travel the country and the world, for that matter, touring with Ozzy, be a free agent. You never know where you're going to see him next. Being a free agent, I wanted to ask you, did you catch this little tidbit? And everybody's going to ask me why. To be honest with you, it's a borderline inside joke between the two of us here, that the WWE offered a couple big men contracts. One of them was Walter, a guy from overseas, and he's not coming. He
seemed like a very good, positive guy who said that didn't happen. It's negative. Yeah.
Well, but he's not going to take the deal, Walter, because apparently he's got he trains at the he trains at the academy for the promotion he works for over there. He's essentially like an employee status. He's not like an independent contractor. He's actually has multiple ties to the promotion, so to come to the U.S.
he's good there. He's good there.
Yeah, he's making money, he's home, and all that, so that made sense. But the other one, the reason why I asked you was, it was Keith Lee from WWN Live, who up close and personal.
We were at that show, one of the Evolve shows in Atlanta, and it was nuts. And if you know the story, but Keith Lee basically wound up in my lap. And he's a rather large man to wind up in someone's lap.
He's 6'3", 330 pounds.
Yeah, it's not the average. It was not very much of a lap dance. I did not get hurt anyway, but I was shocked that he came plopping down right on top of me.
I got out of the way.
Awesome, though, to be that into wrestling. I mean, to be able to I love sitting where there's no barricade. I won't do it everywhere. I honestly, I won't do it for the majority of shows I go to just because I don't want to get hit. But that was a great show, and it was way over, and it was intense, and it was right there in your face. And it was right there in my face. It was great.
Well, we hope he takes the deal.
It, man.
Yeah, we hope
I'd love to see him
we hope he takes the deal if it's true that it was offered. We know he has a WWN live deal, but Gabe Sapolsky's got such a relationship with WWE. I mean, he'll clearly probably approve that and let him go. So hopefully this is true. Congrats to Keith Lee. We've seen him several times in person, and big fan. I mean, so. But we're going to go from,
God, he's a great worker, though.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, just the stuff he's capable of. Jesus Christ.
And then, picture this dude in the NXT.
Well, he's the next big man. He's a good big man, and he would be right at home. He'd be up there with the big guys. He'd make an impact right out the gate.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, we can't say names, and it's a Wednesday when this airs. There's some tapings tomorrow. Big shout outs to our boy. We can't say his name, but we wish him nothing but the best of luck. I shot him a message. He's going to be at the NXT tapings later.
And I'm heartbroken once again. I cannot get out of work to go to this because this is somebody who I think the world of, and he's a big name on the indie circuits, and a big name, going to be a huge name.
Kudos to our brother. We'll leave it at that, and we'll move on. But kudos.
You'll know who it is when you see him.
Yeah. Now let's jump to a massive show I was going to ask you about. I know no details have really been let out other than name, date, and location. Saudi Arabia, April 27th, the greatest Royal Rumble event.
50 people.
50 people in the Royal Rumble. Jesus, how long is this thing going to last?
I'm not saying 50 man. Notice I didn't say 50 man because I don't think we're in a position right now we could guarantee all the participants would be male. I
would say it being in Saudi Arabia, we could.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right. Got me.
Yeah.
Zing. Yeah. Got me on that one. Yeah. It's going to be an all-male battle royal, but 50 guys, man, that's a lot of folks.
I mean, you're going to have to unload the Raw and SmackDown roster and probably NXT.
Show.
Oh, and NXT. I'm saying you're probably going to have to unload the barrel to get 50 guys there. Unless they're just going to dump literally like every tag team, every singles guy. We would have to go through the roster and see is there 50 guys.
There's 50 guys.
Yeah.
But, man, that's a lot of people to fly to Saudi Arabia.
I agree with you. Now, my question to you was, this thing has to be on the network, right? I know they haven't announced broadcast details or whatever.
They can't let that, as much money as they're going to put in this, they cannot allow this one to not be on something.
My note here, literally star, it says, the network was made for events like these.
I agree 100% on that. I agree 100% with you on that.
You can stay up until or wake up early. I don't know what the time differences are between, Atlanta and the Saudi Arabia, but to watch this event, you could either watch it live, you could watch it later, because it's on demand on the network. But that's my point. This is the kind of stuff that honestly, and we discussed the Australian event.
Yeah.
Last week we brought it up. These are the things I think the network were made for. That the WWE can travel the world and do a big, huge events like this, and it's not the end of the world that you don't get to watch it live.
And they never have to worry about TV coverage.
No.
At all, because they've got it. They're capable of broadcasting their own live television there on the network.
Right. Back in the day, you would have had to have bought this wacky, block of pay-per-view hours. It didn't make any sense here in the United States. But now it's just on your network, so what the hell does it matter?
It's on your network, man. And, they've had all this practice with the pay-per-views. It's just a natural to assume they could get this right.
Oh, God, yeah. But let us know what you think. That one there, I think, is a no-brainer. That one's got to be on the network, and just without a question. So anyway, this is with question, by the way. This week, Hall of Fame announcement, Hillbilly Jim. I vividly remember, he was around in the rock and roll connection, the cartoon.
He was a big name.
He was the Hogan sidekick. For a big chunk of his career, that's what he was there for.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask you real quick. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Hillbilly Jim was great. At the time, when you were a little kid at the time, he was super over, easy to believe in. But I don't think he was a Hall of Famer. What he is, though, is he is the perfect excuse to bring Hogan back in to induct him. Seriously, think about it. He's Hogan's guy. Nobody else has any business inducting him besides Hogan. So when you look at it, it's like, no, I don't really think he's a Hall of Fame guy. But they've been trying to get a good excuse to bring Hogan back in. And this is easy. This is a door opener, in my opinion. This is just a simple door opener. He's not Hall of Fame level, but it's a tool. They were able to bring Cornette in last year and try him out. This is just what they're doing. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Now, I will 100% agree with you. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer in the sense of the word. However, there's the however. Is he any less of a Hall of Famer than Coco Beware?
It always goes to Coco. It always goes back to Coco.
It does.
He's the linchpin in the entire Hall of Fame. Regardless of who the Hall of Fame debate is, it always goes back to Coco, and that's for a reason. Because most people don't believe he was willing to go in. Or he was qualified to go in. I think Coco was somebody who, when we saw him in the WWE, was a character of himself. He wasn't Coco Ware back from Memphis. He was just a guy with a bird. And he got lazier and lazier, and he didn't work as much. But I really don't think... I just can't see Jim. I'm sorry, guys. If y'all disagree, I understand. He was a big factor. I just don't see Jim as a Hall of Famer.
Now,
he did not have enough impact.
Hold on now. Let me ask you, did you know something else I learned this week? That Hillbilly Jim was also an employee of Coliseum Home Video in sales distribution.
He was a salesman?
It was post his run with WWE, but he worked for Coliseum Home Video.
Oh, okay. So he was not like a guy that said, "You look like a wrestler. Why don't you get
No. And then I also learned that, believe it or not, he also had a radio show. He was a DJ on XM Radio on Hillbilly Jim's Outlaw Radio or something.
I heard something about that. But does that make him a Hall of Famer?
No, but that was kind of just, I thought it was a kind of cool sidebar note. But
unless Jimmy Hart's in there, isn't he? And all he did was hold Hogan's weed.
And yelled through the microphone and managed the Hart Foundation. Yeah. And he did a little more than hold weed. Was it Jim Cornette calls him poo-poo?
Yeah. Guys, I don't want to I'm not trying to run down Hillbilly Jim. I thought he was great.
You're doing a good job of it and not wanting to.
Well, that's what I do. You asked me an opinion. I'm going to give you my opinion on the whole thing. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
But then don't say, I don't mean to run down the name.
I don't mean to shit on him, but
as you put your foot on the accelerator, don't you just...
Yes, I admit I'm totally shitting all over Hillbilly Jim, and I wish I wasn't, but I don't know of any other way to put it, guys. He's not Hall of Fame credit. He did not do that much. Seriously. He did not have as big an impact as a lot of people.
I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but when it comes to Hall of Fame, as far as the WWE Hall of Fame.
It's random. We're not looking at, this is not the Baseball Hall of Fame. You don't have a limited time. You're not voted on by writers. This is just something Vince does in the privacy of his own home.
Vince, one of the funniest lines I heard this week by MSL was, the qualifications to get in the WWE Hall of Fame are that you've got some kind of a name, draw, whatever you want to call it. You're still alive, so they can have as many people actually make their acceptance speeches as possible.
Yeah,
so if you were ever on the WWE roster or WWF roster, and you've been around for a while, and you're a name they know, and you're alive, you're halfway in.
That's incredibly valid. I got to give them that. I really would like to see Bob Caudle. Look, Lance Russell passed this year. Is anything going to happen to Lance Russell?
Tony,
I think Lance goes.
Yeah, you've been a real big proponent of that, and I agree. It's, Lance
Tony
Russell.
Kiss my ass.
I know you're hot. We don't even know. We'll address that. Address that on Twitter, not with me, not on the air.
Okay.
Because I agree with you. I was kind of taken aback by it, but
you left me.
Yeah.
Tony, no. I'm talking to Jay-Z, and Jay-Z's heartbroken. Jay-Z Flair's sitting over there, and he's like eating Bojangles and looking at his wife, and he still can't smile because of what Tony's done to us. You can't leave us, Tony. I have a blast with your show. It's one of my favorite ones. Why?
Like all good women, eventually they'll break your heart.
I thought Tony would stay.
Yeah, well,
I thought we had something.
Well, no, not so much.
No,
well, speaking of things leaving, man, this is the big one. I'm obsessed with this, and we've talked about this I bet you're sick of hearing me talk about this, because I'm like, my wife is sick of me talking about this. I was discussing this with my wife. How crazy is this? What I'm talking about is I am obsessed with this freaking TV rights thing for WWE.
Well, it's a big deal. It's a freaking huge deal, man.
It continues to grow. We casually talk about it like week after week, and like literally my wife is just kind of like, that's interesting. That's nice. Which is her polite way of going, leave me the hell alone talking about wrestling on TV. But there's so many layers that this affects that it just baffles me. And the things, we've talked about, obviously the rumors are that Fox is making a full court press for the TV rights for WWE. I'm going to get long-winded here, Myron, if you need to take a break.
I'm all good, man. I'm dying to hear it.
So Fox is wanting to make a full court press for it. Everybody's asking, well, don't they have the UFC? Of course they have UFC. But the rumors are that they would let UFC go packing if they could get the TV rights to the WWE, because apparently WWE and UFC both, they want $400 million for the television rights. That's a shit ton of money, by the way.
Yeah, it's a shit ton of money, and you can put it on somebody that actually you can market the athletes. You can market wrestlers.
Yeah. You
can send wrestlers out to do appearances, and you're pretty much, it's not the cocaine days anymore, but you're pretty much going to get a good, solid appearance out of them.
Well, there's so many factors into it, and then that's one of them.
It's also a known draw. Wrestling is a known draw. There's a certain rating it's going to get. It's a consistent 3 million people.
Yeah, give or take.
On Monday night.
Yeah. Well,
they're going to get something that'll run up against Monday Night Football and be, pretty much.
Well, and here's the thing.
Big competition for it.
Vince has always craved for the right cash. He's never gotten the deal, which is why he hadn't done it. But broadcast television. It's not even cable. You could get this now. You would be able to get Raw with a pair of freaking rabbit ears, with an antenna, a digital antenna. Mm-hmm. How crazy is that? And
that's a big program. That's a big show. It's a big name.
Yeah. Now Raw would be on Fox. Fox Sports 1 would have SmackDown. Apparently, is the contingency deal here, whatever. Now, how everybody asked me is like the other huge positive from a wrestling fan, and everybody's going to disagree with this as a positive. And if you do, you can DM us at tappedoutpod or email me at tappedoutpod@gmail.com and tell me I'm insane. But Raw would have to go back to 2 hours.
Yeah. Because
their news comes on Fox at 10 o'clock, and they have no interest in moving their news back. So it would have to go back to 2 hours. And I say, amen, brother.
Well, you don't realize that is just an Eastern time zone time that wrestling goes off at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Central, it's 12. So you're going to get a huge turn up for more people in the Central Time Zone to be able to watch wrestling.
It goes down, Myron, not up. It goes off at 10 there in Central.
I've never been good with that. I really never have been good with time zones. And then Lewis texts me and like, he's in Canada. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah,
Do they even follow time zones? Are they on daylight savings time? I have no idea of what they're doing in Canada because I can't figure out America. I'm on a curve here. Time zones baffle me.
Yeah, but the problem is your curve's going up and it actually goes down. So anywho,
yes. I have to have this on paper to be able to understand it.
You need a map.
Yeah, everybody has their own problems.
Yeah.
I need a map with numbers, Nick. A map itself will not do me any good. I need one with numbers.
Yeah. So anywho, so the pile on as the week has gone on is, as I'm obsessed with this, the TV deal is, so Fox has also captured away the rights to the NFL Thursday Night Football. So they want a 1-2 punch where they on Monday we get 3 million people, pretty locked in. You're in the ballpark with Raw every week.
And that's a cable audience, not a mainstream TV audience.
What is?
The 3 million people.
Right,
if it's on a broadcast network, it's going to be larger.
They may draw 3.5, 4 million when they put it on broadcast. Who knows? So they're between those two shows, they could lock down. And like you said, in my opinion, with a wrestling show, it's a lot. With the UFC, guys get hurt or guys flunk drug tests, and then they have to yank a guy out of the, and they fight a guy that they've never heard of or whatever. Whereas if somebody gets hurt, they'll pull another star in, and like you said, the week in and week out, instead of John Cena being on the Today Show, he'll be on whatever the Fox show, Good Morning Show is, which I don't know.
And also, MMA doesn't market to kids the way wrestling does.
Exactly. It could be more family friendly.
There's not a big MMA merch business.
Oh, I'm sure there is, but it's Affliction shirts and those guys.
Well, that only works if you go to 37 Main in Beaufort. Sorry, we don't have a bar endorsement. If you're looking to give us a bar endorsement, I won't say that people in Affliction shirts frequent your bar.
Right.
Even if they do.
So anywho, to wrap up the thing, the big push this week was, I'm a big sports guy also, by the way, off of wrestling. I'm not just a wrestling guy alone. Colin Cowherd, I've listened to Colin Cowherd for years on ESPN when he was there. Now he's on Fox, of course. And that's how this comes around. He has dogged wrestling fans for years, calling wrestling fans booger eaters, and it was like the lowest common denominator. And then recently, he had JR on the show, and he praised Jim Ross. Talked about how he was such a brilliant man, and he was a scout. He was like Vince McMahon's scout, bringing in all this super athletic talent. Then he went on, he was at Smackdown. He's got a picture of him and Charlotte and Natalya together. And then on Speak for Yourself, he's raving about how wrestling, he was at Smackdown, it was like a rock concert, and there was fireworks and bikinis and all the athleticism, and basically putting wrestling over the moon. And then at the very quick end of his tagline, when one of the guys says, "Oh, I'm really looking forward to maybe getting more back into wrestling again. I was a fan when I was a kid," and he was like, "Oh, you really should. Coming to a network near you." So I will tell you this: if Colin Cowherd's been put in his place to push pro wrestling in WWE,
it's understandable.
Fox is making it. They're making a push. Trust me.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal if they're going to bring that guy in and get that guy to say the things that he's saying. It's that he's on the company line, man, and that's not him on his own. We know how he feels, but he's playing the company line, man.
So that's what Raw means to TV. I mean, could mean to Fox, to whatever. The TV, it's a huge deal. And so as we kind of wrap up the TV rights of Raw, let's jump into Raw because we've gone forever here and we haven't even gotten to Raw. And there's stuff that we got to talk about even on the Raw side. I want to lead off with John Cena. Obviously, he's in the 6-pack challenge, whatever the hell they're calling it at Fastlane, which we'll talk about. But he's on Raw. He comes out, cuts a promo. He's got a shot. He's got to win the belt at Fastlane, and he's going to go to WrestleMania. Goldust comes out for, hey, can I ask you, why did Goldust come out?
I didn't understand why Goldust came out, but Goldust kicked ass last night.
Goldust always kicks ass. Goldust is a phenomenal.
To me, he was the highlight of the show. Was Goldust, because he did the whoo thing where he rubbed his nipples all the way down through Cena's nipples up onto his and down when he had Cena down. He killed it, man. That was awesome.
The Goldust never ever ceases to amaze me in the ring. Dustin Runnels has been around forever, like you said, and he gets
better.
Yeah, he's just getting better and better and better.
And I just keep getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, DDP Yoga has saved Goldust's career. Maybe it's time for DDP Yoga to save yours.
Well, yeah, it's something, because it's not going the way I had planned.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a guy who probably is using DDP Yoga, did you notice at the end, instead of the point at the WrestleMania sign, as Cena standing on the turnbuckle, could have been an accident, could have been nothing, I could be overreacting, he throws the hand out like the Undertaker, like reaching for the urn, as he was reaching for the WrestleMania sign. Everybody's talking about it and saying that it was a subtle hint. Because basically, Meltzer has said this Undertaker-Cena match is still the plan. The only way this match doesn't happen is if Taker can't wrestle. He backs out and says he can't do it. Because even their backup plan, we discussed earlier, Rey Mysterio is clearly out of the picture now. So I think the pressure's even more so on Undertaker. I think they just didn't want to announce the match before the Fastlane pay-per-view, because if you announce that, then clearly Cena's not winning it.
Fastlane, yeah.
Well, yeah, if Cena's clearly not going to win if you're announcing he's facing Undertaker, right? So just postpone it. I bet we have Saturday Monday, if Cena doesn't win, then on Monday, bam, we're probably getting an Undertaker John Cena promo. Of some kind or something.
But where is Cena's angle in this? Because honestly, it's just making him look bad and look old.
He's the desperation. He needs a match. He needs to be John Cena. I get it. I'm actually digging it a little here as they're going along. I just think that, he loses at Fastlane, shows up on Raw. What do I do? What do I do? I've got nothing. I've got, and then boom, and then Taker comes out. A couple weeks ago, you basically, you made the mistake of whispering my name. And now I'm here, kind of thing or whatever. So who knows? That could be where they're going with it, but we'll see.
I could say something about that. That's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable.
Yeah. I think that's just where we are. I think John Cena versus The Undertaker doesn't need a build-up, doesn't need a story. We're just finally getting the match of the decade that we've been waiting to have.
100% right.
And so I think that's their bet. That was what they were going with. So, speaking of matches we're getting, they also on Raw officially announced we're getting Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah, good build.
Doing good so far.
Good build. I'm not sold on why we need it, but I don't mean to pick Ronda to death. This is a wrestling angle. She's not a wrestler. They put her right in front of everybody on her first real wrestling angle. It's tough.
Brother,
it's
they got you
out there.
Well, you said she's not a wrestler. Rumors are she's been training late nights in the Performance Center to get ready for this match. Norman Smiley, Sarah Del Rey, Shayna Baszler, among other people's names that are in this, who's been working with her at night to get her ready. My note that I said is she looks good when she's serious, when she's coming at you, and even, there was a little bit of a sloppy when she was trying to grab Stephanie's arm. There was some, but guess what? It looked like Stephanie was actually fighting to get away. It shouldn't be like, here's my arm, take it. So
no, I get that. I got you there.
Yeah, so I agree. A lot of people said it looked a little sloppy. Sometimes when you're fighting, it does look sloppy.
Well, she's a fighter. She's a legit shooter. She's not used to coming out and cutting fake promos and doing this kind of stuff. It's different.
Yeah, it is different. And the only knock that I have on her that so far that I've seen, and it's a big one. She takes me out of the moment sometimes when she's smiling so much.
Yeah,
I get it. She's living her dream, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't do the same thing.
Well, we can just show that that's perfectly understandable, because Saturday night I got so into just the wrestling match, just running the sound. I queued the a guy's song twice before I was supposed to cue it because I could not get over the fact I was so hyped about doing the run-in. You know, I was into it, and I was like, start! No, stop! Start! No. Then I start, and then Todd finally looks at me and says, play it now! And I'm like, okay. Because I can understand how you can mark out like that. It's understandable. And I'm going at this, she's not a wrestler. She's a fighter. It's a different business. She'll find it out, and she'll figure it out. I have no doubt Ronda will figure it out. But right now, it's looking a little tough on her. It'll take some time.
I 100% agree. But I think she's going to do well long term. I just tell people to give her a minute because if nothing else, the crowd's responding to her.
The crowd's responding. They'll overlook stuff like that.
I mean, she's doing her job right now.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, her makeup is horrible, but that's probably somebody in the back just overdoing it.
Okay, now I got to ask you this. We didn't even discuss this off air. Was that you or was that your girlfriend? Because my wife said the exact same thing.
No, Melissa wasn't bad about it. Melissa with a theater background, she's used to seeing people put on excessive stage makeup. I thought it was bad just because it looked like she just had on too much. And I'm not used to seeing her that way. You're used to seeing her in a more natural fighting type look.
Yeah, my wife said, well, they're still trying to learn her makeup because last week it looked pretty good. This week it doesn't. So I was like, okay, I don't get it, but I'm not.
I don't know. It just looked like it was too heavy on her and the shade wasn't right for some reason. And I'm like, I've watched too much Bravo to be able to say that.
Too much Project Runway for you.
Yeah, I've jobbed to the woman so many times. I don't know how to talk like a man right now. Well, I just look like shit.
Well, last thing I wanted to discuss on Raw was I did want to ask you. I know even back in the Impact days, you were really into the broken Matt Hardy gimmick. So we get a little teaser that the ultimate deletion is coming. They're going to battle at the Hardy compound. Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy. The footage. A lot of people were trying to argue that was old footage from back in the Impact days. Rebby has actually come out and said, no, that was actually filmed last Tuesday.
Yeah.
On the compound.
By her.
Yeah, by her. So, anyway, I know you're all excited about this. So
I'm super excited. The only part that I think could be a disappointment. Well, actually, there's two disappointments in stock for this. One, this is not Bray's strong suit. Two, if they overproduce this, if they turn it into like the House of Horrors last year, because it's not. Bray was in this. He was in this off-site match last year prior to WrestleMania. If they mess this up like they did that one and they overproduce it and turn it into WWE, it's not going to be as good as if you just let Matt work it out himself.
But also remember, this year they have an ace in the hole. Jeremy Borash actually produced a lot of that stuff down in Impact. And now he's there. They could pull him and have him.
Don't send anybody but Borash then. Please, don't send anybody but Borash and the Hardys. Senor Benjamin, I miss you, Senor Benjamin. I saw Vanguard 1. The Posse's getting back together, man.
Maybe.
It's awesome.
And as a sidebar, real quick, we're not going to talk about it in depth a whole lot here, but let me ask you. The rumor was, obviously the Bar put the Revival out of their misery, so they're not going to face them at WrestleMania. And Meltzer's got a rumor floating out there that says that a new, and it was in quotation, new tag team to form and face them at Mania, to face the Bar. And the rumors are it's Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy.
I'm just sick of that Dave Meltzer and his rumors. That's unbelievable. That's no way that could happen.
Maybe it comes out of this ultimate deletion. That's why I was kind of holding it all together.
Well, the first time.
Ooh, I got it.
Was Jeff. Go ahead.
He throws him into the lake of whatever the hell it was called.
The Lake of Reincarnation.
The Lake of Reincarnation.
Yes, the Lake of Reincarnation.
And Husky Harris comes out of the lake.
Well, I tell you what, if you want to upgrade his gimmick, you're going to have to go back to his old gimmick and make him Husky Harris again, because Bray Wyatt is drowned. That gimmick's dead. It would only be an improvement to go back to being Husky Harris.
But what if they
you didn't see it all when he kept putting Brother Nero in the lake and all his different gimmicks kept coming back. It was awesome. Every time he dunked him, he came back as a different gimmick.
But think about that then. Even if what if, and here's the what if, and I've said we're wrapping up and we don't, right? That's how we work.
No, ain't got any time to wrap up.
Bray Wyatt wins this match because he lost the first round. He wins the ultimate deletion at the compound, and Hardy kind of flips to the dark side for a minute because he's been there as broken Matt Hardy. He was
he wasn't as evil as broken Matt Hardy. He was
he was confused. What I'm saying is, so then you've got Bray Wyatt leading. Maybe it's not the word I want to say, but basically takes Matt Hardy with him. And so they feud for a while until Brother Nero finally returned from his surgery to fight for his brother back.
I think we'll see Jeff in some way at WrestleMania. I don't know if it's going to be an actual match, but I don't think he'll miss WrestleMania. Something says they'll bring him back just in time to do something.
Could be. We'll have to see. But Fastlane's this weekend. We're going to wrap up and get out of here. But Fastlane's coming up this weekend. Clearly, SmackDown is what it is, right, from week to week. So let's jump right in. Do we care anything about this pay-per-view this weekend?
There are a couple matches on there that I think will be cool. I want to see Charlotte and Ruby Riott. But that's a match quality thing. I think women are able to, and this is my opinion, women are able to take something that might not be built as well or built as much as a men's match and still make an exciting personal match out of it. So I'm looking forward to that. The rest of the card, not so much. I mean, we went over it. It's not even that big a booked card, man. We really got better at seeing Bray Wyatt destroy stuff. Musical instruments. I'd rather watch that any day. Yeah. You got this giant 6-pack challenge, which, I mean, to me, the biggest challenge would be trying to drink a 6-pack during that turd.
I could get 6 down.
I could too, but still, it just wouldn't be as pleasant.
You'd have to pull a Higgins to get them all down.
Double drink in the fridge. Usos and New Day. I love the New Day, and the Usos are great as far as quality, but I'm not interested.
Yeah, they'll be the match of the night.
Oh, by far. Rude and Orton, for the U.S. title or U.S. Championship. Randy Orton to me is a sleeper. He puts me to sleep. Rude is great. I just don't think this is the situation. I don't like him as a face. He's a heel. Just like Ric Flair. He's a Ric Flair-esque character, and Ric Flair was better as a heel than a face, and I say the same thing about him.
Yeah.
Not a card that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I sit there and think when you look at it, you're kind of like Rude, Charlotte, Usos, and AJ. I mean, that has to be your winners, right? Because AJ's got to go on to face Shinsuke at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I still believe that the rumors are true. I think Charlotte's actually going to face Asuka.
Charlotte's going to face Asuka, and you're going to get
Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. So
to me, that's the safest bet.
Yeah, so
I really think that's the safest bet.
I go back to the same thing, the Cena comment about Taker. They just wanted to get through this pay per view before because think about it, Asuka has not said who she's facing.
No.
So I think that's why I think this is an easy card. And I'm going to probably miss all of them. I just think it's simple: Rude, Charlotte, Usos, and Styles. I mean, maybe Orton taking the strap off of Bobby Roode, but I don't know why they would do that. But I could see that one happening, just so they change one title.
They might. That would be the thing I would think they would change. Charlotte's not losing the belt to Ruby Riott as much as I like Ruby Riott. She's not going to lose the belt to her, even if it has to be a DQ finish.
And the Usos need their belts.
Yeah, the Usos need the belts.
And the New Day doesn't. So I mean, and Styles has to, like you said, Styles has got to get to WrestleMania, right? So that's pretty. To face Shinsuke. So that's just, I mean, it's a pretty cut and dry card as far as I think. But we'll
the
see.
WrestleMania card is going to build up and be fine.
I think the accelerator gets hit on the road to WrestleMania on Monday.
But I don't think the SmackDown, honestly, it's looking to me like the SmackDown part of it is not going to be the strongest. It looks like the Raw part is going to be the biggest deal.
Which is pretty par for the course, I think.
Yeah.
So,
but I'd love to see some more. There's a lot of good talent on SmackDown. And if they flip things, that'd be great. If they were to go back and put AJ on Raw and flip Seth or somebody like that to back over to SmackDown.
There's several things out there that they're going to make some moves. Like I saw Samoa Joe to SmackDown, maybe Sasha moving to SmackDown. it's different.
Well, they've got to break the knot they've got on SmackDown of the same thing every week.
Yeah.
That's my main problem with it. Is I see this with SmackDown is I see the same match every week.
Maybe the Bar and the Usos. I think I saw that somewhere. The Bar and the Usos flipping shows.
That would be good. That would be very good for the Bar, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the same thing, because think about it. They've been making the comment, there's nobody there, there's nobody to challenge them anymore. And that may be true to the point that it's time to flip them shows.
Yeah.
So,
that makes sense.
But we'll be back next week to figure all that out, because after Fastlane, we'll know kind of where we are.
Building for WrestleMania, man.
Building for WrestleMania, yep. So, what else you got, man, before we get out of here?
Looking back over my notes, I've just got a couple things that really didn't mean anything. We know the stories that are developing on Raw. We see what's going on. And we'll talk about them more as they further up, as they get closer. I'm still enjoying Raw more than SmackDown. I'm not 100% sold on what they've got going on SmackDown, which is hard for me to say. The best thing I can tell you, if you want good wrestling by your standards, find something you like and go see it live on an indie show. Find the program you like. Go out there, and if you don't like it, don't go back. I'll go to a different one. You can go to a different wrestling show every night of the week, most places. That's what I would say to do. If you got something to complain about, go find something else. Go find a different program. Because wrestling right now, we are really at the to me the precipice of going back to a new golden age where wrestling will be bigger than it's ever been before.
I hope so.
There's so much out there, and it's the internet, Twitch, Facebook Watch, all that are giving you the opportunity to see wrestling different ways, anytime, anywhere, and enjoy it. Find stuff you like and enjoy it.
Find your Southern Fried. Find your NCW, your Wrestle Pro, your Battle Pro. I mean, these promotions are all over. Pro Wrestling Ego.
You're not going to not have a promotion around you.
Yeah.
I don't know of anywhere in the country that doesn't have at least one indie promotion running.
So find it. That's what we tell you. Google it and find it, man. Find your wrestling promotion.
And if you just want to watch Raw and SmackDown, if that makes you happy, watch that. Well, just watch makes you happy,
Spend less time, complaining like we just did for an hour and a half.
Well, we're creative complaining.
Exactly.
We're in the booking committee.
And we're really not. And that's our big thing. We're really not. Like I said, we do. You're right. We encourage you to go out and support your local indie talent. Because like we said earlier, man, that talent, like the Keith Lees and the, we hope Camilla Kane, wink, wink. Like, hopefully, you'll see those guys make it eventually. Because we've talked about them before, the Austin Theories, the Odinsons, the O'Shea Edwards, the Ike Crosses of the world. They're going to be on these shows. Go catch them at, at your local, indie show while you still can.
Oh, definitely. Get out there, guys. It's good quality wrestling, good quality people. Make some friends, meet your Mooney, just have a great time.
Well, take care of that, man. And make sure you're always, by the way, tappedoutpod.com. Go there. We're, all the places you can subscribe to us, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, etc., etc., etc. All those places are right there. Click on those and subscribe and catch a show every week. Have any questions? tappedoutpod@gmail.com. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. And then, of course, tappedoutpod on Twitter. You can DM us there. Facebook, we're the, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. We're easy to find. Pretty simple, man. And so, if you got nothing else, brother, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.